Something just happened in an interview with Blake Shelton that has fans buzzing louder than a Friday night bar in Nashville. For years, people have watched him and Kelly Clarkson go at it on live TV, teasing, roasting, side-eyes galore, and wondered if all that chaos was just for the cameras. Blake finally slipped, and what he admitted might just confirm what fans have been whispering for years. It wasn't packaged in PR spin or hidden behind a joke. It was raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. Suddenly, every roast on The Voice and every headline about their feud looks completely different. So what did Blake really say? And why is everyone losing their minds over it? Let's break it down. Blake Shelton finally spills the tea about Kelly Clarkson. Let's set the stage first. It's May 2025. The energy in the studio of Kelly Clarkson's daytime talk show is off the charts. You can feel it the second you step in. The lights are bright enough to make your eyes water. The cameras are lined up like soldiers ready to capture every angle, and the audience is practically vibrating in their seats, shuffling programs and whispering excitedly to anyone within earshot. And then, here comes Kelly. She strides out in her signature electric blue power suit, every bit the queen of the stage. She's confident, loud, and magnetic, moving through the set like it's her own backyard, which, in this case, it basically is. The crowd erupts immediately. A beat later, Blake Shelton strolls onto the stage, the picture of laid-back country charm. Denim jacket, well-worn jeans, cowboy boots that have clearly seen 100 gigs, and that half-smirk is that's equal parts mischief and I know something you don't. The contrast between them is hilarious and perfect. Kelly, all high-energy pop star sparkle. Blake, slow-moving, dry-witted, yet impossible to ignore. And of course, the banter starts immediately. Sharp, fast, and sarcastic. The kind of playful sparring only they can pull off. Kelly throws the first jab, teasing him about releasing a song called Texas, saying, "Blake, you're literally from Ada, Oklahoma. Do you need a map?" The audience loses it. Blake takes it in stride, tilting his head, letting the laughter wash over him, before turning to the camera and shrugging like he's letting everyone in on a secret only they understand. Then, just when you think you've caught your breath, he drops a line that will make headlines everywhere. Kelly and I are so inbred we probably share a toothbrush. For a split second, the studio is dead silent. You could literally hear a pin hit the floor. Did he just say that out loud? On national TV? And then, chaos. The audience erupts, half in laughter, half in sheer disbelief. Kelly clutches at imaginary poles, gasping through laughter, trying desperately to form a rebuttal but completely losing the battle against her own amusement. She's wheezing, doubling over, tears forming in the corners of her eyes. It's unfiltered, unscripted, and absolutely electric. Blake doesn't skip a beat. He leans in, smug as ever, and keeps piling on, "I'm serious. We've got the same managers, the same songwriters, the same ex-in-laws." He winks, like he's daring the world to keep up. If we swapped toothbrushes right now, the tabloids would implode trying to figure it out. The cameras catch every second of Kelly losing it, gasping for air, arms clutching her stomach. The moment is pure chaos, a perfect storm of humor and honesty. By the time the segment ends, clips of the moment are already blazing across social media. Within an hour, the views have surpassed 1 million. The comments section is an untamed jungle of disbelief and excitement. "Called it. I knew it," reads one. Another asks, "Wait, is inbred a compliment in Oklahoma?" The genius of it all isn't just a joke. It's that Blake didn't dance around the truth. No press releases, no carefully chosen words, no spin. He just said it, front and center, and let the world react. Even his publicist, presumably hiding somewhere backstage with a mix of horror and awe, couldn't resist posting a single cowboy hat emoji. No denial, no clarification. Blake meant what he said, and somehow it worked. How Blake and Kelly became country cousins. Before anyone starts panicking and sketching out family trees on their kitchen tables, let's get one thing straight. No, Blake and Kelly are not literally cousins. When Blake drops a line about being inbred, he isn't talking about genealogy. He's talking about the crazily tangled, impossibly close-knit ecosystem of Nashville and the country music world they've lived in for decades. It's a scene so small, so intertwined, that everyone paths cross in ways that make outsiders' heads spin. Picture a human pretzel. Everyone connected to everyone else through like family or just random Friday night barbecues. Take Kelly's ex-husband and former manager, Brandon Blackstock. He's the son of Narvel Blackstock, who, for years, managed Blake Shelton. That one connection alone means the two of them were orbiting the same universe long before any TV cameras caught them joking or roasting each other. But it's bigger than just that. Blake's longtime producer, he probably had a hand in cutting some of Kelly's earliest demos. That songwriter who gave Blake one of his #1 ballads, he likely started out gigging in dive bars with Kelly before anyone knew her name. Their professional lives have been entangled for so long that trying to separate them is basically impossible. And that's exactly the kind of inbred world Blake is joking about. It's a scene where you can't throw a guitar pick without hitting someone who's written hits for both of them, toured with both of them, or being at the same barbecue at one of their houses. Their mutual friends list reads like the guest list for the Country Music Association's biggest awards, and their lives are crossed at nearly every conceivable turn, from industry parties to late-night recording sessions, from award show green rooms to random Oklahoma hometown events. This tangled network explains so much about their on-screen chemistry. When they roast each other, it isn't fake, it isn't forced. It's a natural rhythm of two people who spend the better part of 2 decades orbiting the same circles, navigating the same chaotic industry waters, and sharing every high, low, and awkward moment along the way. Their friendship has grown in that chaos, so they can joke about sharing toothbrushes without anyone thinking it's weird. It's just shorthand for a history that's messy, hilarious, and completely unique. Outsiders might get dizzy trying to map it all out, but for them, it's life. Their bond is born from shared victories, shared heartbreaks, and a million tiny collisions that built a trust most people never experience. And make no mistake, this connection didn't start under bright lights of a TV studio. To understand the real roots of the Blake and Kelly dynamic, you have to go back to years before The Voice, before Platinum Records, before talk show stages and red carpets. The chaos that built their bond. It's 2006. The air is thick and hazy in a tiny bar tucked just off Printer's Alley in Nashville. The floors are sticky. The smell of beer and old wood mixes with cigarette smoke, and the kind of place where you might stumble into a future star and not even realize it. Blake Shelton is in the crowd, still riding the wave of early hits like Austin, tipping his hat to anyone who recognizes him. On stage, Kelly Clarkson isn't the polished daytime host millions know now. She's raw. She's fierce. She's fronting a rock band and belting out Since You Been Gone with a grit that makes the sweat and energy in the room feel like part of the performance. Every note hits with a mix of power, frustration, and pure passion. Proof that she wasn't just a singing contest winner. She was a force to be reckoned with. After the set, Blake sidles up to the bar, easygoing but carrying that unmistakable charisma. A casual compliment here, a few jokes there, and suddenly they swap numbers. It's nothing dramatic, just two artists connecting in the swirl of Nashville's music world. But the real bond didn't form over shared hits or backstage selfies. It formed in the trenches. Their friendship grew in the chaos of fame. Through label battles, chart wars, headline-grabbing divorces, and the constant whirl of public scrutiny, they became lifelines for each other. When Kelly married Brandon Blackstock, Blake's manager at the time, he didn't just show up as a professional courtesy. He was there in the messy, awkward, hilarious moments, teasing Brandon at the rehearsal dinner and making everyone laugh. Years later, when that marriage ended in a very public, painful way, Blake was still in her corner, sending late-night memes and ridiculous videos just to lift her spirits when everything seemed bleak. This is the history magazines never cover. People see their rivalry on The Voice, the teasing, the jokes, the eye rolls. But they don't see the decade-plus of shared experiences, the laughter, the heartbreak, the midnight phone calls, and the silent support. It's a bond forged in the grind, a shared understanding that surviving this world takes more than talent. It takes someone who gets it. The most controversial things Kelly Clarkson has ever done. Blake Shelton's public persona is all cowboy charm, teasing smiles, and laid-back humor. Kelly Clarkson? She's fire. Straight shooting, unapologetic honesty. That's a brand. And that honesty has put her in the spotlight in ways most stars never want to experience. It's not just a banter on The Voice or her sharp jokes on daytime TV. It's the storms that rage behind the headlines. And in every one of those storms, Blake's been there, not with press releases or public defenses, but quietly, fiercely, as a friend who actually has her back. Take the infamous My December saga in 2007. Kelly had just come off the worldwide success of Breakaway, an album that turned her into a global superstar practically overnight. But for her third album, she wanted something different, something raw, personal, and rock-infused. She co-wrote the entire record, pouring her life into every note. The label, though, and the legendary Clive Davis reportedly weren't fans. They were pushing for another Since You Been Gone, polished, radio-ready pop. Reports say Davis even publicly criticized the album and allegedly called her a terrible writer, telling her to just sing instead of speaking her mind. Kelly was painted as difficult, a young woman refusing to be anyone's puppet. She had to fight tooth and nail just to release the album the way she envisioned it. Through it all, Blake stayed in the wings, quietly watching, never stepping into the public argument, but privately checking in, sending support, and later admitting he hated seeing her drag for simply wanting to stay true to herself. Fast forward to 2018. Kelly made a casual comment on a radio interview about spanking her kids, saying it was how she was raised and she didn't see anything wrong with it. Almost instantly, the internet erupted. Parenting blogs exploded with criticism, child development advocates weighed in, and social media turned into a full-on debate about her fitness as a mother. Through the chaos, Blake didn't post a single defense on Twitter, didn't call out the haters. He simply sent a text telling her she was a great mom, plain and simple. That's all she needed. Then came 2023. The Kelly Clarkson show made headlines with allegations of a toxic work environment. Rolling Stone reported that some staff felt overworked and mentally strained. Importantly, every person interviewed made a point to say Kelly herself was fantastic, and likely unaware of the issues. Still, her name was dragged through the headlines. Once again, Blake stayed publicly quiet. But according to insiders, a subtle gesture of support appeared. Pizza trucks started showing up on Fridays for weeks, anonymously funded by someone in Nashville. It was his way of saying, without words, that he had her back. That's the yin and yang of their relationship. Kelly thrives on confronting the fire